In this video, I'm going to cover a financial mathematics topic called simple interest. I will go through several examples to help you better understand this topic. And remember to watch the whole video so you can see the different types of problems you might encounter in your class. Alright, so our first formula that we want to look at is the simple interest formula. Here we have I equals PRT, where I is your interest earned, so it's a dollar amount, how much money you actually earned. So P is principal, which is the amount of money that you deposit into an interest earning account, or how much you borrowed for a loan. R is your annual simple interest rate. And T is time in years. Now for time in years, if they give you 3 years, T is simply 3. If they tell you that it's 8 months, 8 months is less than 1 year, so it's going to be 8/12 of a year, 8 out of 12 months. If they tell you 18 months, you can also write it as 18 over 12, or even just 1.5, 1.5 years. So make sure your T value is in years. So this formula is pretty close to the first one. We have interest, but we're also going to add the principal to it to get our ending balance that's in the account after some amount of time. So A is your future amounts. Again, P is your principal, how much you deposited or borrowed. R is your annual interest rate. And T again is your time in years. So the first one I'm going to look at is this one. It says you put $500 into an account that pays 5% simple interest. How much interest will it earn in 3 years? So here we're just looking for the interest. So we're going to use the I equals PRT. Okay, then we're going to fill in what we know. So our principal, we deposited 500, so P is 500. Interest rate, 5% simple interest. We're going to change our percent to decimal by dividing it by 100. So it's going to be 0.05. You do 0.05 or just 0.05. Either way is fine. And T, your time in years. So this is 3 years, so just 3. All right, so 500 times 0.05 times 3. You put that in your calculator, you get $75. So $500 in a 5% simple interest account will earn $75 in 3 years. All right, so this one says you put $700 into an account that pays 6.5% simple interest for 10 months. How much interest will it earn? So again, we're just looking at the interest. So it's going to be I equals PRT again. All right, so we're depositing 700, so P is 700. Interest rate, take 6.5 divided by 100, you get 0.06. 0.065. And then T is in years, so we're only doing 10 months, so it's less than 1 year. So to give us months, we put it 10 over 12, because there's 12 months in a year, and this is for 10 of them. Alright, so then we simply multiply that all together, 700 times 0.065 times 10 over 12. Then we get 37.92, so $37.92. And since we're dealing with money, we want to round to the nearest cent. So $37.92. Alright, so this one says John made $50 after depositing $1,000 into a simple interest account for 8 months. How much was the interest rate? Okay, so this is still the same formula. I equals PRT. Now instead of finding I, how much interest they earned, they want to know what was the interest rate. All right, so again, we're just gonna fill in what we know. He made $50, so that's the I. He put in 1,000, so that's the P. We don't know the interest rate, so we're gonna leave that as R. And T is 8 months, so 8 over 12. Now our goal here is to get the R by itself. This is some, if you go back to your algebra days, you want to solve for the variable. So if I got 1,000 times R times 8/12, I can divide both sides by 1,000. So that cancels out the 1,000 here, becomes 1. So now I got 50 over 1,000 equals R times 8/12. Now to get rid of a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal, which means just to flip it over. 8/12 becomes 12 over 8. And multiply both sides by the same thing, 12 over 8. And what that does here comes 1 here, so 1R or just R. If you take, in parentheses, 12 divided by 8 times, you put this in parentheses, 50 over 1,000. That comes out to 0.075. And to change that to percent, we're just going to move it, the decimal point, over to the right 2 places, so times 100 to give you 7.5%. Okay, so in this one we solve for R. Likewise, you can solve for P and T in the same process. You end up dividing, by the R value and dividing by the T, or if the T is in a fraction form, multiply by the reciprocal. So this one says a loan of $7,000 was repaid at the end of 3 years. What size repayment check, principal and interest, was written if 8% annual interest rate was charged? All right, so this one we get to use that second formula where you have A equals P 1 plus RT. Okay, so since this one is not just looking at the interest earned, it's the total balance earned. So they have to pay the interest and principal, which is going to be your A value. So in this problem, we want to know how much was repaid. They borrowed $7,000. After 3 years of interest, how much will the borrower have to pay? So here, the P is 7,000. We have 1 plus interest rate of 0.08, and it was borrowed for 3 years. So you can simply put this in your calculator like it's written: 7,000 parentheses 1 plus 0.08 times 3 close parentheses. And it comes out to 8,680. So that includes the principal and the interest. So if the principal was 7,000, I can simply take the 8,680 minus 7,000. That gives me 1,680. So that's the amount of interest that accumulated over the 3 years. So they paid a check of 8,680. That included 7,000 that they borrowed and 1,680 of interest. So this says if a check for $1,947.92 was used to retire a 7-month, $1,700 loan, what was the annual interest rate charged? All right, so in this one, we still want to use the A equals P 1 plus RT. On this one, we want to find what R was equal to. Okay, so they wrote the check for $1947.92. That was the ending balance. So that's going to be A. loan was for 1,700, so that's P. R we don't know. And we know the time was for 7 months, so 7 over 12. Okay, so the first thing I can do here is divide both sides by 1,700. It's going to become 1 over there. And I got 19, 47, and 92 over 1,700 equal 1 plus R times 7 over 12. Yeah, since we don't have anything on the bottom anymore, we don't need those parentheses around the whole thing. Alright, so then next thing to do is subtract 1 from both sides. Okay, it's going to give me the 1947.92 over 1,700 minus 1 equals R 7 over 12. And then again, to get rid of the fraction, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 12 over 7. Do that to both sides. Alright, so that leaves me with, I'll put R on the left side now. It's going to be 12 over 7 times 1947.92 cents over 1,700 minus 1. Now the 1947.92 over 17 minus 1 needs to be in its own parentheses because it's 12 sevenths times that quantity. So make sure you have 12 sevenths in parentheses and then 1947.92 over 1,700 minus 1 in its own set parentheses. So if you do that, you should get 0.25. And then we need to multiply by 100 to make it 25%. So the annual interest rate here is 25%.